It is a common held belief that the world is round, but let's be real here, that is obviously not true. If the world was round, it would be obvious and indisputable. But there's been no real proof outside of the propaganda from the likes of NASA and SpaceX, for example. They have doctored up photos, videos, documents, and the people that work for those companies are perpetuating this lie about the Earth's shape. And because they're so successful with convincing us, the people, that the world was round, they even tried it with a certain medical shot in the beginning of the 2020s. But just like the certain thing I just mentioned, and the nonsensical belief in round Earth, it is clear that the establishment wants to control people. And one of the obvious ways of doing that is by controlling what people believe. With all that said, let's get into the meat and potatoes on why the Earth is round. The first reason that I know that the Earth is flat is because there's no observable curve. I have been in a plane, been in a ship, and I've taken long drives, but every time I travel great distances, there is never a curve. Instead, the terrain is always flat. It doesn't matter what form of transportation you take, you will never see the Earth's curve, and that is simply because it does not exist. If the Earth was round, then a simple tool like a spirit level would never have its little bubble be even, because obviously the Earth would be round instead of it actually being flat. A lie that the establishment says to try and convince us that the curve of the Earth exists is that ships look like they sink into the ocean the farther away they get from us because of the curve. But as someone who has seen ships embark for their journey, I could say with 100% certainty that fact is false. What actually happens is that after a certain amount of time, it becomes harder to see stuff with our normal eyes the farther away it gets from us. That's the same reason why a car gets harder to see the farther away you are from it. So the idea that the curve of the Earth makes ships slowly less visible the farther away they are is actually wrong and pretty ridiculous that they even try to tell us that. The next reason why the Earth is flat is pretty simple. If the Earth was round, then everything would fall off into space. You can literally do this experiment at home for cheap. All you need to do is get a ball of any kind and some liquid like water. After that, all you need to do is pour the liquid onto the ball and see if the water stays on the ball like foolish round earthers think it does with our planet. If you are not brainwashed by the establishment, then you will realize how silly the idea of the Earth being round really is. It only makes sense for the water on our planet to stay in the ocean, lake, river, or any other body of water if the Earth is flat rather than round, because the liquid is being held in place by the ice walls that surround us that round earthers have falsely labeled the North and South Pole. The reality of the North and South Pole is that they're not actually the North and South Pole. Instead, it's just a big ice wall that surrounds our planet, keeping everything in place. On the subject of ice walls, I also want to discuss the other thing people believe that is real, when in reality it's just another lie made up by the establishment to control us. And that thing is gravity. If gravity was real, then how come helium balloons fly in the air? That question is rhetorical because the answer is simple. If something is lighter than air, then it will float. But if it is heavier than air, it'll stay on the ground, and that is why steel, cotton, and other objects remain rooted to the ground, but a balloon that is filled with helium will float. If the idea of gravity was true, then everything should remain rooted regardless, since gravity keeps everything down. Now, the last reason why I will discuss that the Earth is flat is that if the world was round, then how come maps that we use are always flat? Wouldn't it be easier to navigate directions if we used a more accurately shaped map rather than a flat map of Earth? The reason why all the maps that we use are flat is simple, and that is because the Earth is not round, because if it was, then our maps would show the curve. And even if you try to make an argument about paper maps, then what about the digital maps like Google Earth? They're flat too. That rhetorical question is so obviously simple, and anyone who wants to deny that fact that our planet is flat is either brainwashed or coping really hard. Now, those are all the easy to understand reasons why the Earth is flat. Now, I know it will be hard to break the brainwashed masses' conditioning, but I am willing to help free you all with the truth like some of the famous flat earth celebrities do when they speak about it openly about the fact that our globe is actually not round, like Kyrie Irving, Dr. Shaquille O'Neal, and B.O.B. have done, spreading the truth before me. With that said, make sure to like the video, subscribe, and...
I'm sorry, sir. It's time for you to leave.